There is a screen door at the back of my kitchen, the kind that sighs shut on its own with a soft wooden clap. And through it comes the warm, wet air of an Okinawan summer, the smell of the rain still drying on the stones, the green of the garden gone dark. It is the season the rest of the world dreads for one small reason, the mosquito. You know the sound, that thin, high whine by your ear in the dark, just as you are drifting off, the small, hot itch on the ankle in the morning. And yet I can sit at my table all evening, the door open to the garden, the lamp lit, and not be bitten once. It is not luck. It is not some blessing of this island, or some thickness of old skin. It is a handful of small, old, almost free things the women of my village have done for longer than anyone can remember, and not one of them comes in a can. My name is Keiko. I was born in Ogimi, a small village in the north of Okinawa that the newspapers like to call the Village of Long Life. I have kept this same garden with its damp corners and its rain barrels and its grove of bamboo for 50 summers now. And in all those summers, I have never once stood in a shop and bought a can of spray to chase a mosquito around my own kitchen. We did not have such things when I was small, and I have never found that I needed them since. Now, here is the part I would like you to sit with for a moment. The hurried world has a strange way with the mosquito. It waits until the little thing is already in the room, already at your ear in the dark, already drawing blood. And then it reaches for the can, and sprays the air, and breathes the cloud, and calls that winning. But you have not won. You have only met the enemy at the very last moment, when it is strongest. The old way of my village is the opposite of this. We never let the mosquito grow up at all. We met it as an egg, in a spoonful of still water, before it ever had wings to find you. That is the whole secret, and it is why I want you to forget, just for tonight, almost everything you think you know about keeping the mosquito away. Stay with me. By the end of this, you will know exactly where every mosquito in your yard is truly born, how the old women here have stopped them at the source for 100 years for almost nothing. The one cheap thing from the garden shop that turns a bucket of water into a quiet trap. And which of the old Japanese ways still work, and which, I must tell you honestly, are mostly just a pretty story. And almost none of it will cost you more than the price of a small lunch. But first, let me tell you the one thing nearly everyone gets wrong. Because if you do not understand this, none of the rest will help you, and you will go on losing this little war every single summer. Here it is. The mosquito that bit you last night was not born somewhere far away and blown in on the wind. It was born in your own yard, in your garden, almost certainly within a few steps of where you were standing. A mosquito does not need a pond or a stream. It needs only a little still water and a few quiet days. The saucer beneath a flower pot, holding the last rain. The gutter along your roof, clogged with leaves, where the water cannot run away. An old bucket by the shed. The fold in a tarp where a puddle gathers. Here on Okinawa, we have one the rest of the world does not. The cut stump of a bamboo in the grove. Each hollow joint a tiny cup of rainwater. Each one a little nursery for 100 mosquitoes. My grandmother taught me to walk the grove after every rain with a long stick and tip each one over. And let me tell you the why of it, plainly, because once you understand it, you will never look at a puddle the same way again. The mosquito lays her eggs on still water, and the little ones that hatch, the wrigglers my grandmother called them, those tiny commas that twitch in a forgotten bucket, they are not fish. They cannot breathe the water. They must hang at the very surface, just beneath the skin of it, and take their air from above, and there they stay for the better part of a week while they grow. That is the whole reason still water is the entire game. Stir that water, tip it out, send it running down the gutter as it should, and you have broken the one quiet thing they cannot do without. They need stillness. So we take away the stillness. That is the whole of it. So understand me well. Every mosquito at your ear in the dark began its life in a teaspoon of water you walked past without a glance. And that is the most hopeful news I can give you, because it means the war is not won in the air with a cloud of poison. It is won on the ground in the morning with a slow walk and a tipped-over bucket. Let me show you how. The first thing, and truly this is the heart of all of it, is simply to walk your own ground and pour out the water. Once a week is enough. My grandmother called it greeting the garden. I take my cup of tea and I walk slowly, the way an old woman walks, and I look not at the flowers but at the low and forgotten places. The saucers under the pots, I tip them out. The watering can left full, I empty it. The wheelbarrow holding rain, I turn it over. The bird bath I pour fresh every few days because a mosquito needs the water to sit still and undisturbed for about a week to grow, and fresh water given often breaks that quiet they need. The gutters I keep clear of leaves so the rain runs away as it should and does not sit and breed. And the bamboo stumps in the grove, those I tip with my stick, just as she showed me. Now, let me tell you the mistake I see most often, because it is so easy to make. People go out with good intentions, and they empty the big and obvious things, the bucket, the watering can, and they feel they are done. But the mosquito does not need a bucket. She is happier in the small forgotten places your eye slides right over. The little dish under the potted plant, the crease in the blue tub over the wood pile, the old tire, the upturned lid, the child's toy left in the grass, even the curled leaf or the bottle cap if the rain sits in it long enough. So do not walk your yard looking for ponds. Walk it the way I do, slowly, bent a little, looking low, because that teaspoon in the saucer is where she is, far more than the barrel you can see from the porch. Once a week, always once a week, no longer, because a week is all the little ones need to grow their wings, and if you wait too, you have let a whole generation fly. I will be honest with you, because honesty is the only thing of real value I have to give. This first step is not exciting. There is nothing to buy, no clever gadget, no bottle with a bright label, nothing to put on a shelf and admire. It is only an old woman walking her yard once a week, tipping over water. And that is exactly why no one will tell you to do it. There is no money in an empty bucket. The shop would much rather sell you a can. But I promise you, this dull, free 5-minute walk does more than every spray on every shelf put together. The hurried world sprays the air. Here, we simply never gave the mosquito a place to be born. Now, pour yourself something warm, because this next piece is the one that surprises people. And it is my favorite of all the old tricks made new. There is water you cannot pour out. The rain barrel I keep for the garden, a low corner of the yard that always holds a puddle and will not drain. The pond, if you are lucky enough to have one. You cannot empty these, and so the hurried world would tell you they are lost and reach again for the can. But there is a small, gentle thing that handles exactly this, and it is the one modern item I will happily tell you to buy. It is called by a long name, a bacteria, a tiny living thing in the soil, and on the packet you will see the letters BTI. In the garden shop it is sold under friendly names, as little granules or small round cakes, sometimes called mosquito bits or mosquito dunks. A tub of it costs about $17 and will last you a whole summer, perhaps two. And here is the beautiful part, the part that makes it fit the Okinawan way so perfectly. This little bacteria does one thing and one thing only. It kills the young mosquito in the water before it ever takes wing. And it harms nothing else, not the bees that come to my garden, which I love and need, not the fish in the pond, not the cat asleep on the step, nor the dog, nor a single grandchild who might dip a hand in the water, only the mosquito larva. And you may wonder how a thing can be so deadly to the one and so gentle to all the rest. The why of it is simple, and it pleased me when I first understood it. The little wriggler at the surface feeds as it grows, taking in the water and the tiny things floating in it, and so it eats the bacteria, and only its small insides are made the right way to be undone by it. The bee does not eat it. The fish does not eat it that way. The child's hand does not eat it. It works only inside the belly of the thing that swallows it as food. It is the closest thing the modern shop has ever made to the old wisdom. Strike the enemy in the cradle, and leave the whole rest of the living world in peace. But let me give you the honest caution that belongs with it. This little bacteria works only in the water, on the young. It will do nothing to the grown mosquito already flying at your ear. That one is past its reach. So do not sprinkle it about the patio and expect peace. It goes in the water, and the water only. And do not let it tempt you into being lazy with the first step. If a bucket can simply be tipped over, tip it over, and save your bits for the rain barrel and the puddle that will not drain. The free walk comes first, always. Now let me give you the trick the old way and the new way make together, because this is the one I would write down if I were you. Take a dark bucket. A black one is best, for the mosquito loves the shadowed water to lay her eggs, and fill it half full. Drop in a small spoonful of the bits or one of the little cakes. Then set this bucket in a quiet, shaded corner of your yard, well away from where you sit of an evening. What you have made is a trap dressed as a home. The mosquito, looking for still dark water, finds your bucket and lays her eggs there gladly, thinking she has found the perfect nursery, and instead she has found a graveyard. Every egg she lays comes to nothing. You have not chased her with poison in the air. You have invited her, politely, to waste all her children in a bucket of your choosing. Refresh it every week or two. That is all. A counterfeit pond, my grandson once called it, and I laughed because that is exactly what it is. So those are the two hands of it, and together they are nearly the whole wall. Pour out the water you can, and in the water you cannot pour out, place the little bacteria that strikes only the mosquito and spares all else. Do those two things, and I tell you honestly, you will hardly meet a mosquito all summer. Everything I tell you from here is only to make the evening sweeter still. Now you may be wondering about the old Japanese ways, the ones in the paintings, the ones with the lovely names. And I want to tell you about them because they are dear to me and some of them truly work. But I also promised you honesty, and honesty means telling you which ones are mostly a beautiful memory and little more. The one you may already know is the Katori Senko, the mosquito coil. That green spiral of incense smoking slowly on the porch through a summer evening. This is no folk superstition, you understand. It was born right here in Japan more than 100 years ago, and it was first made from a flower, the chrysanthemum, the pyrethrum, which holds in its petals a gentle thing that the mosquito cannot bear. When it burns and the smoke drifts around where you sit, it truly does keep them off you in that space for that time. My family has burned them on the engawa, the wooden porch, on summer nights for as long as I have been alive. I can close my eyes even now and smell it, that thin grey thread of smoke rising from the little coil in its tin dish, sweet and sharp at once, mixed with the salt of the evening air. When I was a girl, the old woman would set a coil at each end of the porch as the light failed, and we children would lie on the cool wood between them and watch the smoke curl into the dark. That smell, to this day, is the smell of being safe and small and home. So yes, the coil works in its small way in the still air close around you. I only ask that you burn it where the air is open and not in a closed room, the way you would be gentle with any smoke. Older still, before even the coil, the women of these islands would burn the dried leaf of the mugwort, yomogi we call it, the same humble plant we drop in the bath for aching knees, or other herb bundles, letting the smoke roll low across the garden at dusk. It is the same idea as the coil, only older and from the field instead of the shop. It works a little in the still evening air close to the smoke. It is pleasant and it is nearly free. But I will not tell you it builds a wall around your whole yard, because it does not. Then there is the kaya. Ah, the kaya. The mosquito net hung over the sleeping mat, a soft green tent we slept inside as children. I can still remember the world seen through that fine mesh, the lamp gone soft and blurred beyond it, the safe, small country of the bed. This, my friend, is not a story or a half measure. This one simply works, completely, every single time, and it always has. A fine net between you and the mosquito while you sleep is the oldest and the surest defense there is. The modern cousin of the kaya is the screen on your window and your door. The very screen door at my back that sighs shut on its own. Keep your screens whole, mend the smallest tear, and you have a kaya over your whole house. Of everything the old way left us, this may be the most powerful of all, and the most forgotten in places where every window now simply stays shut against the heat and trusts to the machine. And there is one more I love, and it joins the old way and the source all at once. The fish. In a basin or a small pond, the old people kept goldfish or the tiny medaka, the rice fish that have swum in the paddies of Japan forever. And these little fish do a wonderful thing. They eat the mosquito young. They patrol that water all day and all night and let nothing grow to wings. If you have a basin or a pond of standing water you wish to keep, a few small fish will tend it for you better than any person could, and ask only a pinch of food in return. It is the bucket trick, but alive and prettier. Now I must keep my promise and tell you the other half of the honest truth. The things the hurried world sells that do very little, so that you do not waste your money, as I once watched a young neighbor waste hers. The candle, the citronella candle, that you place on the table and hope will guard the whole patio. I am sorry to tell you, it barely works at all. A faint smell in open, moving air does almost nothing once the breeze takes it. It is a pleasant light and a pleasant scent, and you may keep it for that, but do not trust your evening to it. The little band you wear on your wrist that promises to keep the mosquito off the whole body, that too, I am afraid, does almost nothing. A small scent at the wrist cannot guard the ankle. And the plants, the lovely pots of lemongrass and citronella and the marigold by the door. I keep them myself, and they are beautiful, and I will not tell you to throw them out. But here is the plain truth that the garden shop will never print on the pretty label. A plant simply sitting there in its pot does very, very little to keep mosquitoes from you. Its gentle oils stay locked in the leaf. To get even a little from them, you would have to crush the leaf and rub it on your skin, and even then it is faint and brief. So please hear me. Do not buy the plant, or the candle, or the wristband, and believe you have done the thing. You have not. The real war is won, always, in the two ways I gave you first. Pour out the still water, and treat the water you cannot pour. Everything else is only a small comfort layered on top of that. I would rather tell you this plainly and lose the shop a sale than let you spend your summer money on a pretty thing that leaves you bitten. Let me gather it all into your hand now, simply the way I would tell it to a daughter. The mosquito is born in still water in your own yard, never far away. So once a week, walk your ground with your tea and pour out every saucer, bucket, can and clogged gutter you find. And if you have a bamboo grove as I do, tip the cut stumps after the rain. For the water you cannot empty, the rain barrel and the stubborn puddle. Drop in the little bacteria called the mosquito bits, about $17 for a summer. Deadly to the mosquito young and gentle to the bee, the fish, the pet and the child. Make a dark bucket trap of it in a far corner if the mosquitoes are many. Keep your screens whole, your kaya over the whole house. Burn a coil or a little yomogi close by where you sit of an evening, if you love the old smell as I do. Keep a few small fish in any basin you treasure, and do not waste a single coin on the candle, the wristband, or the plant, believing it will save you, for it will not. We did not keep the mosquito away by accident, and we did not keep it away with poison in the air either. We kept it away by understanding, very simply, where it comes from, and by tending the low and quiet corners of the garden before the trouble ever had a chance to grow wings. There is no hurry in it. There is no fear in it. There is only an old woman, a cup of tea, a slow walk, and a tipped-over bucket in the morning light. Come back and sit with me again, and I will show you the simple way the old women of my village kept the ants from ever crossing the kitchen doorway all summer long. One jar on the sill, one humble thing inside it, and not a drop of poison in the whole house. It is the natural next step after today. Until then, keep your screens whole and walk your garden slowly. And remember, the old women of Okinawa, who lived past 100 with a garden and a kettle and no doctor at all, knew things the world is only just beginning to remember. Come and sit with me again soon.